had that glow. You know, the one you have when you meet the love of your life at a wedding in Hawaii, and he wants to make you his forever. The one you have when you know that nothing can go wrong at 36. Well, it only took 3 little words to dim my light. I felt like I was jumped in a game, given these colors, the color pink. I soon learned there was nothing pretty in pink. Managing the ebbs and flows after a breast cancer diagnosis was never ending. Our life together was just beginning, but we had no future in sight. I'm now standing here in my chemo glow, willing to share my moments, because I soon learned that the glow doesn't define me. I define the glow. Hi, guys. Welcome to Chemo Glow, where the glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. If you're joining us today by YouTube with my millions of followers, I need you guys to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, share the link, and join us every other Wednesday or every Wednesday when we come on at Chemo Glow. So join us on YouTube, Instagram. I'm always updating Instagram, so make sure you see what's coming up next. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, better known as X. If you guys want to see more of me, check out our website at chemoglow.com. If you would like to share your glow, please email me at chemoglow@gmail.com. Guess where I've been? In these pink streets again. And because of these pink streets, I'm meeting some amazing people. And our next guest for next week is Lorelei. She will be here talking about chemo kindness, because chemo kindness is where it's at. So I'm looking forward to seeing her next week at 8 o'clock, same time, same bat channel. Well, because I was in these streets at the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk, you see my 2 lovely girls really wanting to be there. I met some real amazing people. We even met the mayor of Durham. He was so great talking with my girls, because my girls had questions and he gave great answers. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to be out there. And as you can see, I was on that mic with 3 lovely ladies, but the person behind Miss Orange County is my next guest. He came out and he DJ'd for us. And tonight he's joining me, not the typical narrative that you normally hear. So please join me to welcome the real DJ Smooth. I call you Jonathan, but that is your name. Everybody knows you as the real DJ Smooth, correct?
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I mean, we had a blast out there.
Oh, yes, we did.
You were doing your thing.
Yeah,
We had so much fun. And when we were doing all those things, it was just amazing to have you on set, because we just asked you last minute, right?
Oh yeah. I'm kind of used to that, though. It comes with the territory.
And you joined us, and we just enjoyed everything that you were doing for us. And that was your first Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk?
Yes, it was, and it won't be the last for sure.
It won't be the last. And you were able to actually tell us a little bit about your story, because most people were so surprised to see you out there. And then you had on pink, and then you threw on the survivor sash, and then I got you to chat about it. And everybody was like, who is this guy? We need him on. We need him to say more. And you were taking pictures with everyone. Everyone wanted to take a picture with you. And I was so happy to have you, because, again, you are a radio personality. You are a business owner. You're out there doing so many things out in the community. And I'm going to get to your story, but I want to talk a little bit about who you are as a person before you actually um, join this little pink squad that we get jumped in. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a husband, a father, and a father of three, and
Oh wow.
just your average quiet guy. When I'm Jonathan, I'm quiet. I'm
Hmm.
family guy. I'm homebody. When I'm in DJ mode, I'm a totally different person. So I got kind of two different brains. I guess I'm working with
Hmm. Yeah.
two.
And so your kids, how old are they now?
My oldest son is 22. And he's actually my only son. Our oldest is 22. We have a daughter that's 14 and a daughter that's 7.
Oh wow. And how long have you been with your wife?
We've been together 22 years. No, actually, wow, it's 23. 23
Oh,
years.
oh my goodness. I'm only
Yeah.
on year 13.
23 years, and we've been married 16.
Married 16.
Yeah.
So, married 16 and
And
just a
we actually
year
got married
ago
in Charlotte.
in Charlotte. Like, guys, if you don't know, Charlotte is my old stumping ground. So, when I heard that Jonathan used to do his thing out there in Charlotte, I absolutely love the Charlotte area. And being married, you have ups, downs, different things going on. But
Oh yeah.
never
Yeah,
did you
right.
think that you would be hearing those words, you have cancer.
Not in my wildest dreams. That hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Especially because with my history, with people having cancer, my best friend who I don't, and I'm just gonna be quite honest, I don't refer to my best friends as best friends. I
Mhm.
technically call them my brothers and sisters. Um,
Mhm.
so my closest best friend, um, his mom passed away from cancer, and that was
Mhm.
my first time ever dealing with someone who had it. So when we lost her, she was like a mother to me. So that really hit me like a ton of bricks. Um, right before, or no, actually, it was before. It was a year before. A year before I
Mhm.
got my diagnosis, my aunt was diagnosed with cancer, and she passed
Mm.
away a year before I got my diagnosis.
So you were touched by cancer. You've seen it,
Oh yes,
and
yes.
you've seen the hurt, you've seen the pain, and then you yourself hear those words, not just that you have cancer, but you have breast cancer. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that.
The craziest thing about it, and since I've been on this journey of, like you said, being in the pink streets,
Yeah.
um, I've met so many men that said exactly what I said. I had no clue that a man could even get breast cancer. But to give you some context to my story, basically I had a itching sensation on the left side of my chest, and
Mhm.
it was itching really, really bad. I noticed a lump, so I automatically thought it was a mosquito bite. So I wrote it off, didn't pay no attention to it anymore, unless it was itching. I totally ignored it. Went on, and about maybe I think a week later or 2 weeks later, I started to begin to have chest pains.
Mhm.
And once they started, it seemed like they kept getting more intense. And by the second day, I mean, it was so horrible. When I went to bed that night, I tried to go to sleep, and it literally woke me out of my sleep. And I just thought somewhere in my mind, I was trying to think of the best things and not think of the worst. And I was hoping that maybe it was gas. So I
Mhm.
was trying to stretch, and I'm moving all sorts of ways in the bed. And I'm so surprised I didn't wake my wife up, but she does sleep pretty hard. So I'm just twitching all over the bed, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So finally, I jumped up, and I threw my clothes on. I didn't want to wake my wife up because we have two small children. My middle child is 7. She's still in the house, of course, and
Mhm.
not my middle child, my 14-year-old daughter, and then our 7-year-old daughter. My son is away at in his own apartment because he goes to A&T. So I decided to jump up, throw my clothes on, drive myself to the hospital. Went to the hospital. They started running all the tests on me because I was in fear that I might be having a heart attack.
So
So,
let me ask you. So you drove yourself to the hospital.
oh yeah,
And when you got to the hospital, when you finally arrived at the hospital, on your way there, what were you thinking? Well, like, what were you thinking? Did you think that you were possibly having a heart attack or
yes, that's what I began to believe I was having, and it scared me to death because my fear was I didn't want to crash the car and
Mhm,
die. Because actually, that's how my father passed away. He
mm,
In which, now that I think about it, I didn't really think about this, but at some point in his life, he worked in a plant and he put
uh-huh,
in a lawsuit. And I guess it's another form of cancer called
mhm,
mesothelioma. And
yes,
he had that. And I didn't know about it until after he passed away. He
mhm.
was driving and he had a heart attack and crashed his car, and that's how he passed.
Oh
So
my
I was
goodness.
here driving myself to the hospital, but luckily the hospital was not too far from where I lived.
Okay, and when you arrived at the hospital and you came in, you say, "Look, I think I'm having chest pains." When you say chest pains, they run you all the way, they get you back there. Were you waiting for a long time or did they go ahead and get you back there?
No, they got me back pretty quick, and this hospital normally, unless it's just one of those crazy nights, in most cases the times I've been in there, it's not really a bad wait in the emergency room. So they got me in pretty quick, but I was there for a long time
Mhm.
because they
Okay, and
wanted to run several tests because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me.
so they ran several tests, couldn't figure out what was wrong with you. Did you go back home or did you end up
So
coming back to the hospital?
oh yeah, so one of the tests they ran was called an EKG.
Mhm.
And when you do an EKG, they stick these leads on you. And unfortunately, I'm a pretty hairy guy. So those leads can really hurt if you just rip them
Mhm.
off. So when they couldn't find out what was wrong, their assumption is that it was either heartburn or some type of indigestion. So they sent me home with some heartburn medicine. um I wanted them to leave the leads on me because I knew it was easier to take the leads off with getting in the shower and using shower gel to remove them.
Mhm.
uh so I did go home. I got in the shower. um I am a very spiritual person. I do believe in God. um so I have a deep relationship with God, and when I got in the shower, uh for the first time ever, and I don't think I've ever heard him speak to me directly. He's spoken to me through prayer, through messages, but never directly. But
Mhm.
this particular night, or actually it was morning by that time, because I don't think I left the hospital. I think I went in about sometime around 10 o'clock at night, and I didn't
Mhm.
get out the hospital until 10 o'clock that morning.
Oh, wow,
And
and at that time, did you contact your wife, let her know
yeah,
what was going on?
yeah. So my
Because
wife
she woke
called me.
up and was like,
Yeah,
honey,
yeah.
where you
She ended
at?"
up waking up. I think my youngest daughter probably woke her up, and because my youngest daughter come in the room and get in the bed with her, and
Mhm,
so I think my daughter woke her up, and she realized I'm not next to her, so she
mhm.
called my phone, and I ended up telling her. So of course she fussed at me while I was in the hospital. I think that around 9 o'clock in the morning, I was still in the hospital at that time. So she was fussing because I didn't wake her up, and she was concerned. Um, but when I came home, I basically wanted to jump right in the shower. So
Mhm.
we didn't have much time to talk. And uh like I said, I got a deep relationship with God. So when I got in the shower, um it wasn't even, I probably hadn't even been in there like 2 minutes, and I heard his voice and it said, check the lump that you found on your chest. And me being a smart aleck, I looked up at the ceiling. I'm like, really, God, that's what you
Mhm.
want me to do? But I said,
Mhm.
okay, because I'm obedient.
Yeah.
And I checked and it was there. And literally, soon as I felt it, I said, oh my God. And my heart dropped down in my stomach because I was thinking, well, could this be the reason why I was having the chest pains? And
Mhm.
I didn't think cancer at that point, but I didn't know what it was, and it just freaked me out. So I immediately told my wife, and my wife immediately made me contact my doctor. My doctor brought me in, he checked it out, and immediately he started sending me to get the different tests done. I had to have a mammogram, and several other things, and lo and behold, the craziest part of the story was the diagnosis.
Mhm.
I was in Charlotte at the time and I was working. Um, and I had to pull over in front of what was known at one time to be the Philip Morris plant, which is a
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
had to pull over on the side of the road in front of Philip Morris, and it was April 18th of last year I got my diagnosis, which that is my youngest daughter's birthday.
Mm.
And that was painful because uh first, I mean, my first thought was how long do I have to live?
How many
Because
more birthdays am I gonna see?
yeah, because I mean automatically I thought cancer death sentence because
Mhm.
nobody I've known that has had cancer is around anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so that was pretty tough. I actually, when I pulled over, before I could even let them finish telling me, I called my wife and put her in on the call so she could hear it. And that was a really rough call.
And hearing those words that you have cancer and then you have breast cancer at that, something that you what are you talking about? Were you taken back because the diagnosis was breast cancer or just the fact that you heard those words cancer?
Yeah. Oh my, it was so many things that went through my mind about that because uh just having cancer in general was I almost couldn't even wrap my mind around it because I'm like, I'm kind of one of those one-off type of guys. I
Yeah.
don't have tattoos, I don't drink, I don't
Mhm.
smoke.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I just couldn't figure. I'm like, how in the world could I get cancer?
Mhm.
And then to, add that on that it was breast cancer, I couldn't wrap my head around that.
And you said that you had to go and get a mammogram.
Oh
How
yeah.
many other men were in the room getting mammograms? Because I know when I went, my husband couldn't even come to the back because it was all women back there. He had to stay up front. So walking through those doors, you're the only man.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was very different because
Mhm.
I was the only guy, and in the case of my wife being there, she was able to be in the back.
Mhm.
But certain points they were moving people around through the hallways, so they had to stop and wait. And when they was changing rooms, I
Mhm.
had to wait in a room, and so it was different in that way. But yes, I was the only guy there.
Yeah, and they are serious about yeah, no man in the room back there. You got to
Yeah.
adjust. And I always thought I wanted my husband back there with me when I'm walking these cold rooms, like they're just cold. and they
Mhm.
probably had you in a room by yourself, but thankfully your wife could be there with you at
Yeah.
certain points of it. So getting a mammogram, hearing those words that you have to have a mammogram after you find out that you have breast cancer, and what is the next step for you guys?
Wow. Well, first that weekend, being that when I was diagnosed, it was my daughter's birthday. uh I immediately told my wife, because we had already planned my daughter's birthday party in advance. So
Mhm.
that April 18th, her birthday party was the 20 something. It was on that Saturday that I had got my diagnosis. So I told my wife that, look, I don't want the kids to be affected by this. I don't know how they're going to take it, and I want them to be able to enjoy her birthday. So
Yeah.
let's wait until after the birthday party, and then I'll tell them maybe on Monday, Sunday, or Monday. And so that was the first order of business. Um, Trying to really just wrap my head around it and trying to stay positive through all that,
Mm.
and not let it bother me, especially while we were at the birthday party. It was extremely difficult because I was kind of caught in this um space where, for me, I mean, even though people I've been connected to has had cancer, it was something I know nothing about. And that's the
Nothing.
sad thing. Like, we, a lot of us, and especially men,
Mhm.
especially,
Go ahead and
we
speak
stay.
on it.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna speak on this. We are very ignorant to a lot of different things, and especially when it comes to our health, because growing up as a boy, you fall off a bike, you get some scrapes, you dust yourself off, you get right back on and keep riding. And
Mhm.
that's kind of the way you grow up and you become a man, being that same way. You get a little
Mhm.
pain, you might take some Tylenol if it's too bad, and you keep moving. And so that was my mentality at that point, was just trying to get through it and trying to see what the outcome was going to be, because again, my first fear was, how long do I have to live?
Yeah. And your wife being with you all these years, you guys have kids together, and now she's going to be a caregiver. And she's has those same questions about, breast cancer. Those are the things that we go every year to get our mammograms after a certain time. We have our physicals. Were you keeping up with like your yearly physicals at that time?
Yes, I was, but that was only because she was forcing me to. I'm being a typical man. I was not, in a rush to go to a doctor, and
Mhm.
it. I had to get nudged a little bit just to even go. But yeah, I was keeping up with the physicals, but only because of her.
Okay. And now that you've heard those words, you now know that, okay, it is breast cancer. People don't understand. It's not just stage 1 through 4, right? You got 1A, 2A. You
Yeah.
have different types of cancer. And cancer is definitely different. When I was diagnosed 13 years ago, the treatments are different. How many times you have chemo is different. Radiation, which was, woo, something horrible for me.
Oh
And
yeah.
we'll talk about that. But let's start with, what was your first treatment decision?
So first, before the treatment decision came down, they the first thing they said to me was that the size of it is what determines what stage you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And initially they assumed it was above a 1 but not quite a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And but they said they wouldn't know officially until they took it out. So the first treatment was going to be to start with surgery. Um
Mm-hmm.
and so they did that, and in the process of doing all the testing, um they found that I had a lump and some what they call lymph nodes
Node involvement.
affected as well. So they did a double mastectomy, and they removed the lump. Come to find out, I was stage 2. Um, and as well, it spread to my underarm as well on my left side. So that was why they had to remove the lymph nodes. Um, After the first surgery, we had a conversation with my team, which once you know get cancer, you have a healthcare team, you have an oncologist, the surgeon, and there's one
The
other one.
radiologist.
Yeah, radiologist, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that team comes together and you don't make a decision unless all three are included.
Mm-hmm.
um so two were kind of leaning towards doing a second surgery because of the lymph nodes being affected under my underarm.
Mm-hmm.
One was kind of against it because of the possibility of having lymphedema, and which
Which
lymphedema is swelling that you will get that is permanent for the rest of your life.
mm-hmm.
So when
Which I have, and lymphedema is no joke. So on top of one diagnosis, them telling you, look, that lymphedema under your armpit, when you have lymph node involvement, it definitely affects your decisions.
yes, but I
Mhm.
will say when it came down to that decision, it was a no-brainer for me.
Yep.
Their concern was go back in and do the second surgery to make sure they got all of it out, or it was between that and the risk of having a lymphedema. And I said, I can live with lymphedema. I'd rather not live with the risk of it being more cancer in there. So
Mhm.
the moment I told them that and I said I'm solid on the decision, they were fine with doing the second surgery.
Okay. So you had a second surgery, and then
Yep.
let's talk about the lovely radiation where they said it's something like a sunburn, but we all know it's not. How was your radiation?
uh in the beginning,
Mhm.
it was okay at first.
Uh-huh.
Um, about I want to say maybe 3 to 4 weeks in, um,
Yes.
it was pretty bad.
Mhm.
And when I say pretty bad, the radiologist had to come in and literally check my skin before they started the procedure each and every time because it got real bad. It even caused I had like little pockets that look like, oh, I'd almost hate to describe it because it almost make you sick to your stomach, but
Mhm.
um there were little pockets that were bubbled up
Mhm.
bubbled up skin, and
Mhm.
it looked really really bad. So they would have to check it to make sure I was okay to go through with the radiation for that day. So they would have to check every day before I started.
And so radiation was every day.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
you had your 2 surgeries and then radiation. People don't understand radiation is every day, and it's
Mhm.
about the 3rd week when you start to see that change in skin, and
Yep.
then whether or not your skin starts to bubble or starts to peel, which mine did as well.
Oh yeah.
No one ever wants to see those pictures. When people say, "I'm not gonna get a mammogram, I don't think that, breast cancer is this and that," that's when I'll flash the radiation picture, and they'll be like, "Oh, oh, okay."
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh,
like, "Here you go."
I haven't got brave enough to show anybody that because I seen mine because sometime when I look at it, I'm disgusted.
It's a lot. It's a lot
Yeah.
that you go through, and people don't understand it. And then you're on tamoxifen. Tell us a little bit about that.
So after the radiation, thank God I did not have to do chemo. I've heard a lot of stories because of course during this journey you meet a lot of people that have had some form of cancer, and I've met quite a few even in my motorcycle club that have had breast cancer. So some have had the chemo and some
Mhm.
did okay with it, and then there's others that said they got sick as a dog. So for me, I was hoping I didn't have to cross that path, and
Mhm.
luckily I didn't, but they did put me on tamoxifen, and I have to take that for 10 years.
Now, did you meet any more male breast cancer um thrivers or survivors during this time?
Oh yeah, yeah. One of the healthcare physicians that was I think was in the place where I was getting the testing done for the actually for the mammogram. One of the physicians knew another guy who had it, and I mean, this is why I stress that all males need to stay informed and need to stay proactive about their health, because me and this guy completely night and day. As you can see, I'm a black male. I was on a little bit on the heavy side. The
Mhm.
guy that I met is a white male, and he's completely skinny.
Mhm.
So it I said that to say this disease does not discriminate. So
It
we
doesn't.
have to be proactive about our health.
Yeah, and it doesn't. And was there any support groups out there for you? Did you search any support groups, or was that person your support?
That person was my support, and of course my family, my wife, my children. Um, until recently, I pretty much stayed private about it. And I've
Mhm.
always been that way for some reason. I've always been a pretty private person. The only time I'm outgoing is when I'm in DJ mode.
Oh, so when you were on the stage, I know you were able to tell your story on My Carolina.
Hmm.
Was that your first time talking to a live audience on from My Carolina to being on the stage?
Yes, yes, that was literally the first time. I told a snippet of my story on my podcast, but
Uh-huh.
being live, My Carolina was the first time I talked about it live.
And then I put you on the spot in front of all those people
Yes,
at
yeah.
the walk, right?
Thankfully, though, and being in DJ mode right before it made it so much easier.
And then you had to play a song before we started talking about it, and
Mm,
it was so engaging and people wanted to hear more. And we were actually supposed to do the podcast a week before My Carolina, but something, things happened. And then you were able to go on My Carolina, and then you were able to be on the stage and tell your story. And now you're telling your story again because it is so important to hear. Now, guys, if y'all have any questions, that's why I like to do the lives. If you have any questions, please make sure that you go ahead and hit us in the comment. Let us know if you have any questions for us. Now, you said that your faith was very important to you.
oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't even known about it. I would have continued to ignore it, and it's a strong possibility I wouldn't be here talking to you now.
Oh my goodness. Well, Mike Murray said, does any other members in your family have breast cancer? I know you talked about your father having some form of cancer, but does anyone else have breast cancer in your family?
No, and that was something that they did as well. They run a genealogy test.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, no one in my family has ever had breast cancer, and when my father had cancer, it was due to him working in a plant that he got mesothelioma.
Okay. All right. Did you ever think about having genetics done, genetic testing for yourself or for your family?
Oh yes, most definitely, most definitely. I have three children, which two are girls, and with now knowing that breast cancer doesn't discriminate, my son will be getting tested as well.
E Exactly, it has to be for your sons and your daughters, you got to make sure you test them both. The mutation is real. My mutation is from my father's side of the family. So making sure that, all you can say is, hey, go get tested. And it's up to them to get tested and be proactive. Well, it's only been a year.
Yes, and it's been quite of a journey. The beginning part of the journey was painful. At the same time, I mentioned briefly that I rode motorcycles, so
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say his name because his family is kind of like me. They are very private in that way. But a guy
Mhm.
I rode motorcycle with, he got a diagnosis around the exact same time that I got mine,
Mm.
and he, I almost want to say, immediately passed away, which was
Mm.
something else that made me fearful of this situation. But it also was painful because once I knew about my diagnosis, I thought we were both going to be fighting together and then
Yeah.
eventually riding together. But that never happened. Flashing forward till now, uh, I have to share this story because this was something I never thought I would say concerning cancer. I have a cousin that's in prison, and he calls me every week, sometimes at least twice a week. And he called me and we was having a great conversation, and this was prior to the making strides for breast cancer. And I was telling him about the making strides and everything that was happening. And I eventually said to him, you know what? I realized cancer was my blessing. And he paused and he was like, well, what do you mean? What are you saying? Like, how could cancer be a blessing? And I explained to him, I said, if I would have never had cancer, I wouldn't have met some of the great people that I've met. I wouldn't have been able to go on TV and tell my story so that other people can be saved and their lives can be greatly affected in a positive way. Um, and then, last but not least, just I literally had posted, I want to say maybe a month before I ever spoke to anybody from the American Cancer Society. I said that I posted on Facebook that I wanted to, work with that organization or do something to help raise awareness. And lo and behold, it was like the stars aligned, and I've met some fantastic people. And along this journey, I still continue to meet a lot of great people that have been affected by this disease. So to me, it's definitely been a blessing.
I am so much like you in a way that I was very private when I was diagnosed. I did not say, I didn't want to hear it. Pink pooey pooey. I did not want to see anything. And somehow I'm sitting on a live show talking about breast cancer and meeting people. And one of our guests has says, how has surviving cancer changed your outlook on life? Because like we were both very private people. I called you at 7 o'clock at night and was like, hey, I got your number from Tammy with the Making Strides, American Cancer Society, and I want to hear more of your story. But I don't want to hear it all. I want you to tell me, that's one of the things with my guests. I'm like, just tell me what's off limits
Mhm.
because I want you to tell your story as is and me hearing it for the first time. But how has surviving cancer changed your outlook on life?
Oh wow. You know, I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, a lot of positive speakers, and I happen to notice one common message that it seemed like all of them said, and
Mhm.
every last one of them would say that they didn't feel as blessed as they do, and they weren't as successful as they are now until they found their purpose in life. And when this hit me, that I wanted to, get the message out there and help people. That's when I begin to realize that that's what my purpose is.
Mm.
I always thought I was meant to do something else and I didn't know what it was. And I kept asking God, show me, show me, show me what my purpose is. That's my purpose. My purpose is two things: raise awareness and bring people to him.
Mm.
And ever since I've been on this journey of raising awareness and further trying to bring people to his kingdom, my life has been supremely blessed. It seems like anything I ask for, I have.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The fact that like how we met, how we connected. You're actually my first male on the show with breast cancer. I've done a lot of these, especially during COVID. We were doing it for 2 years straight, every Wednesday, getting it in. And I met one person and I was on another podcast with that person, but we never got a chance to go live on ours. He was amazing. He just the awareness out there and the facts that there's so many stereotypes about breast cancer out there, and the fact that he was speaking up and just trying to find those folks to actually talk about it, because we are private people. Who wants to put all their stuff on display, right?
You
But
know, craziest thing. So I did two events. I did the Making Strides. I did that event, and immediately after, I had to drive 2 hours to Charlotte from Durham, and I had
mhm,
an there in Charlotte. And between both events, I literally had so many people, both men and women, come up to me and tell me they had no clue that a man could get breast cancer,
mhm,
in which I was in the same position before it happened to me. So
yeah.
just that alone, and seeing people light up like a light bulb and just realizing like I need to get myself checked out. I need to make sure I don't end up in that position, or if I do, that I stay ahead of it. That has just been a blessing in itself to know that I have touched lives. And that's nothing but God using me to be a vessel to make sure that people are in the best place that they can be.
Well, you stopped traffic. Folks were walking from the walk. And you started again. You got us in the mood, right? I was like, he's a DJ. He has to play a song before he gets started. And you do this for a living. You talk, you say, when you are in DJ mode, you are telling the stories on the one twos. You're making it happen, right? But the
Oh,
fact that you now have to speak about something and you're sharing your story and you're enlightening people and you're telling men, hey, go get yourself checked. Like you said, your wife was pushing you for your regular checks. Just think about what you are doing now, letting
oh,
men know you need to make sure you get checked. And now we have another question out here. What advice do you give to someone newly diagnosed, especially a male patient?
um, the first thing that comes to mind is, like I said, when I got my diagnosis, I immediately thought, how long do I have to live? Um, the first piece of advice I would give: don't scare yourself, don't stress yourself, don't think that it's a death sentence. um we are in the age of technology, and so many things are different now, to where treatment is so much better. So many lives can be saved, as long as you catch it at the right time. So don't stress yourself, because you want to stay in a positive state. Surround yourself with positive people, stay in a positive state, and learn about it as much as you can.
And with learning about it, when we talk about these support groups out there, you think you ever start one?
Honestly, I think I will. I have no problem with that. If you would have asked me that a year ago, maybe even probably 4 or 5 months ago, I probably said, no way, not me, not me. But I just know from um the guy that I did get a chance to meet, we've kept in contact. We encourage each other. And that's been beautiful within itself. And we are two people who probably would have never met ever.
Mhm.
And now we keep in touch, and we're super close. We invite each other to each other's houses. So
Mhm.
um, I definitely would be all for starting a support group.
I think there's a place for it. I'm not sure if there's one out there, but I think there's a place for it because hearing the words you have cancer and then hearing the words you
It's
have breast cancer. I mean, I
it's
mean, when I
scary.
heard those words.
Yeah, it's scary. There's a lot of information you won't know. There's still a lot of stuff. In fact, during the event in Durham, I was learning so much about the support they give to people that, get diagnosed with it. I had no clue about none of that stuff
Oh,
when
the resources are out there.
oh yeah.
And it'd be nice to know that when you are diagnosed, those resources are put out there.
Yes, yeah.
And you will be able because I had a great navigator that was like, "Here's a list of resources." And so with that, we have a couple more questions here. Thank you guys for asking these questions and all these comments. Are there goals or dreams you're focused on now that feel more important than before?
Yeah. The goal of reaching as many people as I can to raise awareness. That is actually my goal. I'm gonna use my podcast and speak as much as I can. Just like she mentioned about the support group, I'm gonna dive head first into learning how to do that and
Mhm.
getting that started. So that's my goals. My goals is just to make sure I raise awareness and if I can, I won't say everybody will be for it, but if I can, I'll try to bring you to Christ as well. And I'm not one of those super duper Christians that will make you feel uncomfortable like I'm a holy roller and know all the scriptures and all that type stuff. I'm not that type person. I am a everyday sinner, but I'm just
Mhm.
somebody who loves the Lord. And I think having a relationship with God will help you through your journey, no matter whether it's cancer or whatever you go through.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Jonathan, so much. Before we get off here, you've been talking about this podcast. So tell me about your podcast and where people can reach you.
My podcast is called the Real Royalty Podcast, and it is on all platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. It's on every major platform.
And you're doing big things out there. And I'm hoping that we can work together soon. And if you need some help getting that support group together, please make sure you reach out to me. You have my number. I can't wait to meet your family. And I can't wait for us to do big things together.
Oh yeah.
I want to make sure that I got everybody's question before I start signing off here. So many people have made so many comments, and I just wanted to make sure that we have answered everybody's question. Everyone's so thankful that you shared your journey tonight. All the many blessings that you continue to give to us. I'm so glad that you were able to give some advice. And again, of course, you're a DJ and you did your thing at our event, and Mackenzie was there. She was actually one of the survivors that told her story for the first time. And the fact that you got up there and told your story, and there was another lady, Allison, who hopefully I'll be having on soon. In these pink streets, we meet a lot of folks.
Oh
And
yeah.
in these pink streets, we make sure that we gather and we talk to them and we support them because there's so many things out there. Is there anything you would like to say to our guests before we sign off here?
Stay proactive about your health, whether you're a
Yeah.
man or woman, either way, and especially us men, because we
Mhm.
like I said, we tend to lag in that area. We stubborn, we hard headed, we don't like going to the doctor. We used to just, brushing ourselves off and keep going. And, if it get too bad, take a little bit of Tylenol. But we got to get past that because um, our bodies are designed to where they warn us, just like your car. If you don't have enough oil or something is wrong with your car, the check engine light comes on. Well,
Mhm.
typically in our bodies, it's the pain. So if you feel some pain, and I'll say this even beyond pain, get to know your body. Get
Mhm.
to know your body. That lump was not something normal, and I ignored it thinking it was a mosquito bite. Get
Mhm.
to know your body. If you feel a lump or you feel something that you never felt, go to the doctor, get yourself checked out. And I mean, at best, if you find out it was just a mosquito bite, then that's good. I know we don't want to have the doctor bills, but it's more worth us having our life than us stressing about a bill.
Exactly.
Health,
Jonathan, I want to thank you so much. You have blessed me so much. We've been talking through text messages and the fact I was able to meet you. And I just think that we should do some more stuff together.
most
So
definitely.
we're going to make it happen. Like you said, yeah, there's a reason why we met, right?
Oh
There's a
yeah,
reason why we met.
definitely.
Excuse me.
I-
I know I'm not supposed to speak during the broadcast, but I have a little something for the two of you.
Uh-huh. What would that be? Oh, yes, men wear pink. I do have the men wear pink, but the men wear pink. The wonderful thing that they do, they campaign. They give about 5,000 to start out. They need to raise 5,000 in funds. And these men wear pink. They are caregivers and they are ambassadors. And next year, I'm pretty sure that you're going to be sitting on the man wear pink. And actually one of the guys that you took a picture with is one of the individuals that we love so much.
There he
And
is.
he is wearing pink all the time, and he's part of that campaign. So next year, that'll be one of the things that we'll definitely look for you to do because
Definitely. He,
it is a wonderful thing, and that is with American Cancer Society as well. So, man, wear pink. You got to get out there. You got to get out there. You got to get out there and wear
as
more pink.
I love
I
it.
see you got a little bit of pink going on through there.
Oh yeah. I actually meant to wear my bracelet. I have a bracelet from American Cancer Society that's all pink. I have no problem wearing pink. I love it. So I have a few in my
I
arsenal.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You put that survivor's sash on. You were wearing your pink shirt. You were showing out, and you do all these things. I'm just going back through these lovely pictures that you allowed me to show. And then you got on My Carolina and told your story. And we really appreciate that you did that.
Yeah.
It's been like I never push it to almost this whole hour here. So guys, just make sure that you continue to check yourself. Make sure
Yeah.
you have your physicals. Don't be afraid to say anything. And Jonathan, thank you again. I appreciate you so much.
No,
And
I really do.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Well, guys, I want to thank you guys for coming out, joining us. This has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. We do have some more little thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming out and joining us. I really do appreciate you, Jonathan. Well, guys, this has been wonderful. Like, we're about to hit the 60-minute mark here. You guys had some wonderful questions. So I think that just means that we got to come back on. We're going to have to come back on and see you guys. So next week, please make sure you join us for our guest Lorelai. Now, she is her husband is deployed. She has a little baby at home, and she has a wonderful campaign called Chemo to Kindness. I'm going to tell you how I met her next week. So just remember, guys, that the glow doesn't define me. I define the glow. It's been great. Bye.